Hello, dear friends, welcome to our YouTube channel, USA Football Zone, latest football highlights. France, Netherlands, Germany, Belgium, Croatia, for over 2 decades, this story has been all too familiar and painful. The world's most famous jersey has been knocked out of the World Cup by one European powerhouse after another. Since their last title in 2002, they have lost to France in the 2006 quarterfinals, the Netherlands in the 2010 quarterfinals, and Belgium in the 2018 quarterfinals. In 2014, they suffered a crushing defeat against Germany on home soil, and most recently, in the 2022 quarterfinals, Croatia eliminated them by the narrowest of margins in a penalty shootout. We catch a glimpse of the yellow jersey, hear the rhythm of the samba, and expect greatness from them. But what if I told you these aren't just a few defeats, rather, they are symptoms of a deep-seated problem that has been eating away at Brazilian football from the inside for a generation? This isn't merely a case of a bad tournament. It is a story of structural collapse. The world still sees the 5 stars on their jersey, but fails to notice the fundamental decay within. This isn't just a slump in form, it is a system that is crumbling, and today, we will expose the shocking weakness that ensures this cycle of failure continues. But before we delve into the reasons behind the decline of football's greatest empire, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more in-depth analysis. We don't just rely on headlines. We uncover the real stories behind the beautiful game, so hit the bell icon to ensure you don't miss any future updates. To understand the current crisis, you must first remember what has been lost. For decades, Brazil was not merely a benchmark for success, it was the very embodiment of joy. Jogo Bonito, the beautiful game, was not just a style of play, it was an ideal. The World Cup was Pellé's personal playground. There was Garrincha, nicknamed Little Bird, whose hypnotic dribbling resembled a dance. There was the 1970 squad, a symphony in yellow playing football that seemed to belong to another planet, and the legacy endured. Zico, Socrates, and Falcao, the tragic artists of 1982 who won the world's heart despite losing the tournament. Then came the pragmatic power of Romario and Bebeto, followed by the unstoppable speed of Ronaldo, magically supported by talents like Rivaldo and Ronaldinho. The 2002 World Cup victory was no ordinary win, it felt like a natural outcome. Those teams did more than just defeat opponents, they captivated audiences, they played to a distinct rhythm known as ginga, a unique cadence born from the streets and sandy expanses of Brazil. They delivered moments of spontaneity that no coaching manual or guide could ever teach. They were poets, rock stars, and the uncrowned kings of football. The shadow of that past haunts today's Seleção, Brazil's national team. It is not merely a memory of victory, but an identity crisis, an identity that appears to be fading that was then. Today, the current state of Brazilian football feels like an autopsy report, that magic has been replaced by the harsh, unforgiving reality of repeated failures. So, let us examine, one by one, the reasons or evidence that have brought this footballing giant to its knees. The first and most crucial factor is the disappearance of the soul of Brazilian football, namely, street football. For generations, talent emerged not from gleaming academies, but from the várzea, dusty pitches, favelas, slums, and beaches. Players like Ronaldo and Ronaldinho learned to play on uneven ground. There, improvisation was not merely an option but a necessity for survival. That environment fostered a level of creativity and ball control that could never be replicated in a factory or through mass production today. That culture is on the verge of extinction. Urbanization and safety concerns are keeping children off the streets. Instead, they are being steered toward formal academies or escolinhas. There, they receive coaching from a young age, learning to follow tactical instructions and drill the same patterns repeatedly. The result is a breed of players who are physically fit and tactically astute, yet often possess a mechanical edge. That natural ginga or rhythmic style is fading away. Then there is the transfer market. Brazil has become the world's leading exporter of football talent. European super clubs scout and sign talents like Vinicius Jr. and Rodrigo while they are still teenagers. Often, they leave the country immediately upon turning 18, although they spend their formative years in the Brazilian league. They complete their footballing education in Madrid, Barcelona, or London, not in Sao Paulo or Rio. They are molded within the efficient, structured European system. The result: A generation of talented players who are superior to their European counterparts, a fact that creates a disconnect when they return to a national team that has historically thrived on a different footballing language. This leads directly to our second example. A deep tactical crisis. For 20 years, while European football was undergoing a revolution driven by complex pressing, positional play, and sophisticated defensive structures, Brazil often seemed caught between memories of Jogo Bonito and the demands of the modern game. The national team can often feel more like a collection of extraordinary individuals than a cohesive unit. There is an over-reliance on a star forward's moment of magic to solve the team's problems. For years, this responsibility fell on Neymar. Now, that burden has shifted to Vinicius Jr. However, time and again, we have seen that if the underlying structure or system is ineffective, having one or two world-class forwards isn't enough to compensate. The team looked sluggish and struggled to break down Uruguay's well-organized defense, ultimately bowing out on penalties. This is not a new issue. The same pattern has been observed on the World Cup stage, where tactically astute and well-organized teams have neutralized Brazil's individual brilliance and exploited weaknesses in their team structure. The attack may be world-class, but it is akin to a powerful engine fitted into a poor car chassis. This brings us to a major weakness in the team's core structure. While the world focuses on its star-studded attack, many analysts believe Brazil is grappling with a serious imbalance. The team's spine, specifically the central defense and, crucially, the midfield, lacks the world-class quality found in its forward line, despite the presence of players like Vinicius Jr. and Rodrigo. Significant questions remain regarding the midfield. Where is the modern-day Dunga or Mauro Silva to shield the defense? Who is Casemiro's long-term successor? Since Thiago Silva's final match in 2022, the central defense has been in a state of flux, searching for a new, stable foundation. This has created a vulnerability that top teams ruthlessly exploit. The midfield has been overwhelmed by opposing teams, and the defense has weakened. The 2026 World Cup qualifiers were a prime example of this. Brazil finished fifth, their worst ever performance in the qualifiers. This was clear evidence that Brazil's problem was not a lack of talent, but a lack of overall balance. While a world-class attack might be a luxury, a strong and reliable backbone is essential, and Brazil no longer possesses that. Ultimately, the team's psychological fragility stands out, having become an unwanted trademark. The root cause lies in long-standing leadership instability. Since Tite's departure after the 2022 World Cup, the Brazilian Football Confederation has been in a state of chaos regarding coaching appointments. They appointed Ramon Menezes and Fernando Diniz as interim coaches while publicly waiting for Carlo Ancelotti, a plan that ultimately failed. This rudderless strategy exacerbated the situation. Dorival Jr. was appointed in January 2024, though the federation eventually succeeded in bringing Ancelotti on board in May 2025. However, these constant changes have failed to establish a long-term structure or system. While Argentina has forged a strong team spirit, Brazil's players have become caught between conflicting footballing philosophies. On the pitch, the result has been the team repeatedly crumbling under pressure. The humiliating 7-1 defeat to Germany in 2014 was the most glaring example, but the trend is undeniable. The last-minute goal conceded against Croatia in the 2022 quarter-final, followed by a penalty shootout loss, are recent reminders of this. Teams look for heroes in moments of adversity, but when no hero emerges, there is no collective mental fortitude or leadership on the pitch to steady the ship. They aren't just losing matches, they are completely crumbling mentally. So, what is the verdict? There is ample evidence to prove it. This isn't just a one-off failure, rather, it is a sustained and structural decline. Today, the process of developing talented players is fragmented. The result is a generation of players who are technically proficient but lack that distinctive flair or Brazilian touch in their style and mindset. Tactical confusion has prevented the team from establishing a clear, modern identity. A lack of coherent structure has exposed vulnerabilities in key areas like midfield and defense, and the absence of leadership ensures that whenever the pressure mounts, the team's entire structure collapses. The world still expects the impossible from that yellow jersey. They look for that dance, that magic, and Jogo Bonito, the beautiful game. But in reality, they are witnessing a mere shadow. The harsh truth is that Brazil's alarming frailty is not a temporary setback, it is a fundamental crack. in their identity. The system that once gifted the world the finest football for decades is gone. In its place stands a hollow empire clinging to nostalgia and utterly lost. Now, we must ask a critical question. Can this system be salvaged? Or are we witnessing the permanent demise of a great footballing empire? Share your thoughts in the comments below.